Sonic Boom Comic Issue 6. Sonic starts out being chased by a fast cheetah badnik, and I like that he's not breaking the fourth wall this time. Then after he trips down a hill as a consequence of being distracted, he proceeds to do exactly that by saying he liked it better when they said their intros. Comedy clearly isn't Flint's strong suit. Sonic somehow has the time to say some more stuff before the heroes can show up to rescue him instead of the badnik just interrupting him. I like that Knuckles says nobody hurts Sonic unless he bugs them, but sadly he corrects himself wimpily. So what was the point of that? It was almost in character for Knuckles there. And we don't really see his friends hurting him anyways, which is good. Instead of the badnik changing into something dangerous like another badnik, it changes into a video phone where Eggman mocks them with a hologram bragging about his mail robot. He challenges Sonic to the first ever Go-Kart Pan Island Grand Prix. Did he have to go through all the legal hoops to get that arranged too? I hope we're supposed to just assume that. And again, why would the mayor agree to that? He's not the mayor. Why can't he just threaten people with robots or a missile to get what he wants like a well-written villain? All Eggman has to do to get Sonic to agree to his challenge is accuse him of being afraid that he'll lose. So Sonic goes from genre savvy to being predictable and one-dimensional. Now, I could forgive this if this was Scourge, but not Sonic. Sonic tends to be smart a lot of the time. Or smarter than that. Eggman says the rules are no weapons, powers, or robots, but I'm sure he'll break those rules anyways. Who aside from Sonic would ever participate in a Grand Prix run by Eggman, when it's not established that he used robots or missiles to force people to attend and participate? What's Eggman's purpose for doing this? It feels like the only point for Eggman's plans in this whole comic had been try to kill the heroes or totally pointless. Amy asks if he's sure about this, lampshading his decision. Sonic says that being stuck in a car makes it fair for everyone else. And Flint at least has Tails and Knuckles lampshade Eggman's stupidity. Eggman made a mail robot that can finally overtake Sonic and didn't fit it with a warhead. That's honestly uncharacteristic of Eggman. The best written versions of him wouldn't be this stupid. I'm impressed that they had the guts to say the word warhead in a Sonic comic nowadays. Knuckles justifies that it'd be a lousy mail robot if it blew up, but the fact remains that he should make every robot this fast. This is, again, so forced. He shouldn't be this incompetent then. Styx yells that Eggman's Grand Prix is obviously a trap, and Tails is insistent on doubting her and siding with Eggman. Granted, this is Boom Eggman we're talking about, who is barely threatening, so I guess he's a little justified in thinking all he wants is the race. Plus, this is Styx, so she kind of unintentionally cries wolf a lot. Styx thinks that the go-karts will have bioscanning that'll copy their beings into one of its machines, and then the go-kart will turn into a giant mecha dragon. It's absolutely pathetic when the characters in the story think of better plots than what might actually happen. If Flynn had this idea, he should have used it, not wasted it like this. Why couldn't this be his actual plan? I have no reason at this point to assume that this comic will have this plan actually happen. Because literally all Eggman does in this comic is either go after Sonic with a mecha, or have a pointless carnival. Styx may be jumping to conclusions, but she has a good reason to assume he could do something like this. It's good to see she's not always written terribly, but it's still stupid of her friends to just completely dismiss the idea that the obvious trap is a trap in a comic that's completely obsessed with trying to be self-aware. After they have Styx get distracted by a bird in a failed attempt at comedy and discrediting her, we cut to the day of the race. Why is it that... Oh, well, I guess Sonic's trying to stack all the odds in his favor by having all of his friends race along with him against Eggman, because since he's stuck in a car, he's not guaranteed to win. So this way it's 4 against 1. But logic would dictate that Eggman would just have his robot blow up their go-karts with a remote control the minute they get into them. And the fact that they don't even consider this, and neither did Styx, makes them look pretty stupid. Tails asks Eggman if the go-karts are structurally sound because he must have built them fast. Is he assuming that Eggman didn't have the go-karts already built long before he challenged the heroes? Why is he assuming this just by looking at the outsides of them? I like that he said it was nice of Eggman to supply the go-karts because that's a good point. He could have just obligated Tails to build his own. But they really should be suspicious that their go-karts will be sabotaged and booby-trapped. They were made by Eggman! Tails should have insisted on making the go-karts himself if he loves engineering so much. And maybe he could be told no. Orbot and Cubot are also part of the race, and beside them is a bomb driver that's part of the plan. I guess it's reference to Knuckles' chaotics. Somehow, Cubot doesn't already know him by heart, while Orbot does, and for some reason Orbot tells him not to ask. Why? This comic is so confusing. The heroes were of course intended to take an early lead, since they have to deal with traps. Amy has to stop and wait for some marching ducks that look like they have metal necks and eyelids. So if they're badniks, shouldn't she recognize them as such? And shouldn't the badniks instantly try to attack her? Or does the art just suck? Eggman rides ahead of her, and fortunately I was right. The robots that try to bite her with beaks with teeth, and Amy is taken down a peg because she looks scared. It's a good thing this comic's mostly stopped making her so rude after issue 3. Although, again, with her being so rude to Knuckles by issue 1, that kind of established a personality for her. And then they just get rid of that flaw, like, in 2 issues. Tails just now wonders where Amy went, and is startled when Orbot and Cubot come out of nowhere to ride past them. They gotta have nitro boosters to catch up that easily. After they try to run him off the road, they bump into each other, start bickering and slapping each other, which they shouldn't ever be programmed to be able to do, this looks ridiculous, and they crash into a tree and explode. And then they died, because this is literally the last issue of the comic and we'll never see them again. Anyways, after Tails smirks at their untimely— oh come on! How are they still alive? How are they barely damaged and just dazed? That was so dumb. Why draw an explosion if it doesn't mean anything? And why would Cubot have an airbag deployer on his head instead of in front of his face? Tails looks under the hood, can't find anything bad, and shows arrogance as a genius when we've literally never seen him invent anything ever in the entire comic. Unfortunately, he rides his car off a cliff as a punishment by the writer for being an insufferable genius. I say fortunately, but logically this never should have happened because he can see what's in front of his face normally, can't he? And then he died because his car crashed into the ground after falling off a cliff and he didn't bring any jetpack with him. Oh right, he can fly, can't he? He just have to undo his seatbelt. So why don't they just immediately show him flying out of the car? But logically, if Eggman made this car, he should have designed it so that the seatbelt wouldn't be able to get taken off. This kind of plot could be really dark if he won. Amy was attacked by bird badniks without her hammer. Tails fell off a cliff. This kind of plot could have killed them all off, and that would have made a really dark horror movie-esque finale. Tails insists that this isn't stupidity on his part, just carelessness, as if those aren't the same thing, because he's just an immature little kid and doesn't have much emotional maturity. We didn't need him to talk to the audience and break the fourth wall. Then thanks to the 2 devils on his shoulder, I really wouldn't expect that of a mere entertainer and not an outright villain. Comedy Chimp decides to crash his car to try to get attention as a celebrity better, because I guess everyone assumes that there's surveillance cameras everywhere recording the whole race for everyone. Which would make sense because if it's a trap for the heroes, then Eggman would want to make his cameras record the heroes' demise. But nobody's thinking that it's a trap for the heroes. How did he survive that explosion? Then Eggman reveals that his bioscanner is nearly done scanning each of his hated foes, and because bullshit, he coincidentally named his scanner the exact same silly name Styx gave it in her conspiracy theorizing, when Who's'em What's-It sounds completely ridiculous, and was only said because she was a jungle dweller apathetic to modern technology. That was a forced joke. Okay, so he does do this. Color me impressed. Is it gonna lead to anything good, though? When Styx said that, I immediately imagined the bioscanner as creating either infiltrators or simple metal versions of the heroes. Either way, letting them have access to their abilities without roboticizing them. In fact, I was reminded of the issue by Romy Chacon in the post-Flynn era, where Knuckles and the Chaotix go to a place that basically scans people and tries to make infiltrators of them. With slot machines, I think. Instead, Eggman plans to make a Project Hodgepodge. So he plans to make a robot with all of their abilities, rather than a bunch of robots at once to have more of a chance. Why can't he make multiple robots with all of their abilities? Does he have a really bad metal shortage? I guess that would explain why he doesn't just overrun the entire island with a huge robot army that would completely overwhelm the heroes. That would require patience on his part, because it'd take forever for him to make that many robots, and he wouldn't be going after the heroes during all that time. Because if he did go after the heroes, then he would be damaging his mecha, and so he'd have to spend time repairing that or not bother with it anymore. But yeah, he really should have won, logically. It's just a small island. Knuckles gets angry at the bomb racer not talking to him when he makes small talk with it, finally showing a temper since issue 1, and he punches the bomb and it explodes on him, and then he died. No, I'm sure all of the heroes will magically be fine instead of having been killed off one by one, and a heavy dose of reality ensues for going to Eggman's Grand Prix in the first place. This joke is so forced. Why would Knuckles ever expect a bomb robot to be able to talk to him and make small talk with him? Ever! Eggman says that all the biodata has been downloaded, and Sonic somehow only just now notices that he's without his friends, even though he should have long since heard that they weren't near him anymore. Apparently he went deaf without us noticing. Sonic's go-kart falls off the bridge because the bridge automatically has its planks move and throw him into the ravine. Surprisingly, the comic as a whole ends there, because Worlds Unite is next. No, of course I'm not moving on to that right away. Why would I ever do Worlds Unite without having done the reboot and all of the continuities with actually original plots first? This issue was by Ian Flynn, and for the last issue in the Boom comic, it was pretty unusual to say the least, because Eggman used traps successfully against every single hero, and there's actually no indication that they survived the traps. I'm sure that in the issue meant to be read after this, they'll all turn out to have miraculously survived, even though they logically shouldn't have. Logically, this issue would be a giant reality ensues moment, giving Eggman a whole story's worth of genuine competence. And it makes the heroes all look like idiots for going into an obvious trap and being defenseless against the dangers that await them. It really drives home that Boom Eggman is so pathetic that it really made them let their guards down, be inexperienced as heroes, because if they fought someone like Sadie and Robotnik, they'd be completely screwed. It sucks that the story ended before we could see Eggman start using his Project Hodgepodge, and the only reason we didn't see the heroes survive was for the sake of a cliffhanger. And then the Boom comic got cancelled. I guess the sales reflected how bad the writing was, go figure. No, sadly, I think the real reason the sales sucked was because it was Sonic Boom. And if this is genuinely the last time we'll ever see the Sonic Boom heroes in a comic book, then wow! Flynn can't resist ending a comic with dark dangling plot threads for the life of him, because he went out of his way to put them all in the finale. I say this because I heard a long time ago that the only Sonic Boom character the reboot heroes got to meet in the Boom crossover is Styx, the comedy relief character of that, because of bullshit Sega mandates against the reboot heroes and Boom heroes actually meeting each other. You know, the whole point of a crossover? They think the audience is a bunch of idiots who couldn't handle seeing two different versions of characters talking to each other in one place. Meanwhile, cut back to Archie, where there was the Night of 1,000 Sonics, and the heroes all met their evil twins, and nobody thought we were too stupid to understand that. So if we never see the Boom heroes again because after this is Worlds Unite and then the comic ends, then how can we possibly know for sure that they survived this? This would officially be the worst and strangest finale in Sonic history, where all of the main heroes die to Eggman's traps one by one like a horror movie. That's what Sega gets for not showing how they survived the situations. I don't know, we probably will see them survive later. I mean, come on, we have to, right? That'd be ridiculous. Why would they never show us them surviving in Worlds Unite or in another issue of the comic that I can't find?